When a traveler in north-central Massachusetts takes the wrong fork at the junction of the Aylesbury Pike, just beyond Dean's Corners, he comes upon a lonely and curious country. The ground gets higher, and the briar-bordered stone walls press closer and closer upon the ruts of the dusty, curving road. The trees of the frequent forest belts seem too large, and the wild weeds, brambles, and grasses attain a luxuriance not often found in settled regions. At the same time, the planted fields appear singularly few and barren, while the sparsely scattered houses wear a surprisingly uniform aspect of age, squalor, and dilapidation. Without knowing why, one hesitates to ask directions from the gnarled, solitary figures spied now and then on crumbling doorsteps or on the sloping, rock-strewn meadows. Those figures are so silent and furtive that one feels somehow confronted by forbidden things, with which it would be better to have nothing to do. When a rise in the road brings the mountains in view above the deep woods, the feeling of strange uneasiness is increased. The summits are too rounded and symmetrical to give a sense of comfort and naturalness, and sometimes the sky silhouettes with special clearness the queer circles of tall stone pillars with which most of them are crowned. That's from H.P. Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror. And greetings, Cyclopeans. My name is Dan.
And I'm still Tom.
Still here. Welcome to Sci Clops Podcast 3. And without further ado, we're going to go straight into comics today.
Not too much on the comic front, like big shocking wise, but the Invincible Iron Man series currently out is going to be ending soon, and they're going to be replacing it with two series. One in which the new character they created, that the little girl Riri Williams, I think she's like 15, she's going to be called Iron Heart, and I think that drops later this month. And then the one that I'm actually looking forward to, because it just seems so weird and out there, is Infamous Iron Man, where Dr. Doom builds himself an Iron Man suit and takes over in Tony's stead. And the interesting thing is, they really haven't commented too much on what they're going to do with Tony after this, because they're not killing him off. Or, well, at least I don't think they are. And I don't see him just kind of like riding off into the sunset to do nothing while everyone else is still being superheroes. So it's got to be at least interested to see where they're going with Tony. I'm not so much interested in the new Iron Heart series, but I think the Infamous one with Dr. Doom has some potential to be interesting. So I'm definitely going to check that out when it first comes out this month. And we'll see how they go.
I think that Ironheart could be hot if it is well written because of the Luke Cage hitting at the same time. And she's a young girl, right?
Yeah, young black girl.
Young black. Okay.
And people had the same freak out when they turned Thor into a woman. And I gotta say that is one of the best comics Marvel's doing right now is the Mighty Thor.
I'm getting a good vibe off that Ironheart, though. I really am. I'm looking at her. She looks like she might be a real butt kicker. You know?
Yeah, I'm at least going to check out the debut issue to see if it's worth reading. But
I will.
We'll see. But every time Marvel's made a few changes, I haven't liked all of them. But a couple of them, like Sam Wilson being the new Captain America and Jane Foster being the new Thor, have actually worked out into some really good material. So I mean, it's at least checking it out.
Mm-hmm. Should be hot. I'm over here reading Voracious, Voracious, Voracious. That is a comic put out right now by Marcason Naso, and I hope I'm saying his last name right, Jason Muir. It is great little comic. It is really, it's how do you describe this? It's cooking meets dinosaurs, and absolutely fantastic. It's a sci-fi related comic.
Are the dinosaurs sentient?
They're not. The gentleman inherits a time machine and is able to go back and start. He goes back to the period of the dinosaurs, and
like you do when you first
starts getting them and bringing them back to open a new restaurant, and it's fantastic. He hunts them and
is he telling people that they're eating dinosaurs?
He's not telling people they're eating dinosaurs. I don't want to tell too much on this comic because it's really cool. And if I had just heard of this before, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But I started reading it, and it's only 4 issues out. This is the really cool thing. There's 4 issues, and I've got them all, and they're just great. They're really well written. The characters are really cool. The art is beautiful. I really like the art on this. I love good comic art, and this is something that I'm really enjoying it. And even on my Kindle, I've got all 4 of them on my Kindle, and I'm really liking the art. And I know I'm watching Marcuson's or the Voracious site, and I also want to go on record here. I do know Marcuson, and it's not just a situation where it's just somebody I know, so I'm pushing their comic. I really do like the comic, and so even if I know somebody else, and if I don't like the material, I probably won't say anything. But in this case, I just want to be out there. I do know Marcuson, but I really do like the comic. So anyway, it's a great comic. Do take a look into it. You just go to Voracious on Facebook, and or just Google Voracious comic. We've covered it on Sci Clops. If you do a search in the upper right hand corner for, we're covering it. We're going to be covering some more of it. Voracious. He's got more issues coming out. Just really neat stuff. So dinosaurs, cooking, and the conflicts that you run into running back and forth through time trying to get this stuff done. And I like it. It's kind of, it's got a surprise endings on there that I did not see coming already on issue 4.
I can't imagine hunting dinosaurs goes exactly as you'd expect.
No, it's wicked cool. And that's the thing. It's like it's not like Jurassic Park.
You left the back door open.
You left the back door open. They're not the kind of Jurassic Park dinosaurs where they start opening doors and solving Rubik's Cube puzzles and stuff like that. But they're regular dinosaurs. But it's a lot of cool adventures. And without just, I don't want to go on and on about it all day, but it is a good comic. I highly recommend it. And I'm reading it and got done with the first 4 issues and really enjoy it. So just jumping over really quick on a similar note, there's another comic I'm looking at called the Dark Moon comic. And that was a Kickstarter, I believe I got into that. And they've got a very different art approach than Voracious. And if you go to again, Sci Clops, Cyclops.com, do a search for Dark Moon up in the right-hand corner there. And the Dark Moon comic, they have a Facebook site, a much, what am I trying to say, much more simple approach to the drawings. Minimalist. Thank you. I can't think of these big words. And I really like their little comic too. It looks like I love the drawings. I really like those kind of images. And pretty cool. A bunch of people are teleported to a distant planet in order to, I think, save themselves from a disaster that's about to happen on Earth. And when they get there, they're trapped. And they begin running into some nasties, and so it's pretty cool. And those
aliens get a bad rap.
Aliens get a bad rap.
They're
I think
always
it's high
trying
time.
to kill us.
Yeah, they're always trying to kill us, and I think it's high time for someone to bring a friendly alien back. Like
E.T. E.T.'s like the only one.
Starman.
Oh my God, Starman.
And something like that. Just something that's
it's always like The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or a Predator.
Oh my God,
It's never like the alien just shows up and it's like, hey, how you guys doing? It's always, I'm gonna rip your spine out and eat your blood.
Cities get vaporized, people get eaten, eggs get laid in people's faces. They never bring like a better way to open a can of tuna fish or something like that. It's just it's the same thing every day. But so you movie developers and story writers out there, can you throw an alien out there that's friends for a change?
Yeah.
What else have you got, Tom?
Oh man, it's the TV season premiere of Extravaganza. You've got Flash coming back, Arrow coming back, Legends of Tomorrow coming back, Supergirl's I think just starting up, Ash vs. Evil Dead, Luke Cage. It's insane the amount of TV coming out. Luke Cage just came out as the day we're recording this, and that one is interesting. It's a sequel to his time spent in Jessica Jones, so it's not him. How he becomes the way he is. This is what happens after. Mm-hmm. They don't really spend too much time backtracking on what happened to him during Jessica Jones, which is good. They just kind of establish his new status quo, the new villains he's going to be dealing with. And it wasn't just complete crazy action all nonstop. They did spend a decent chunk of time at least investing in his new world, so it's not, just front-loaded with action and you don't really know what's going on, which I think was a smart approach. And I'm trying to pace myself here so I don't blow through the entire season in, 2 days and then have to sit around for a whole year waiting for the next season. But I like where they're going with it, and I'm definitely going to keep going with the series. Ash vs. Evil Dead just started up again, and I am so in love with that show. It's not even funny.
It is fun. It's just crazy horror.
It's insanity. Yeah,
it's got its own category called crazy horror.
Yeah,
it's nuts, screaming and running back and forth.
I was
blood spraying all over the place.
I was walking to the store today thinking about the season premiere, and I realized I know way too many lines from the Evil Dead series. Like, all the useful stuff from school that I should know is just gone, and it's replaced by Bruce Campbell quotes from the various Evil Dead things.
I just put up a note this morning, by the way, too, on that in the Sci Clops, we have every day we put up sci-fi, fantasy, and horror from around the interwebs news roundup quick. There is some news on the Daily Dead website has an interview with the Ash vs. Evil Dead's Ray Santiago. He's going to be talking about Pablo in season 2, so I just want to let you know about that.
Cool. And then the big kind of TV thing is Flash, Arrow, and Legends are coming back, and Arrow looks to be getting back to more season 1, 2 kind of feel, where it's him versus guys, street thugs, and so it's not him versus magicians and League of Assassins. It's getting back to that kind of grounded on the streets feel he had during the first 2 seasons, which is good because I think 3 and 4 really kind of got into the really a guy with a bow and arrow is taking this on kind of territory, and especially considering. Flash exists in the same universe. There were so many times during seasons 3 and 4, I'm like, why don't you just call Barry and have him beat up everybody in this scene by himself? I can't do that. Why? Because then we wouldn't have a season.
Season 5.
Yeah, okay. Flash is coming back, and I am a huge fan of the Flashpoint Paradox graphic novel, which the early part of season 3 is going to be based on.
Yep.
And so, Cliff Notes is Flash alters the timeline, and when you mess with time, obviously, there's a ripple effect that you have no idea what's going to happen. So he comes back to the present, and everything's different, and he's got to try to fix it. And they've said that this isn't going to be the new status quo, that the changes aren't going to be permanent, but they haven't said how long they're going to be, so that's going to be fun. And especially with considering its other sister show, Legends of Tomorrow, which deals with time travel, its Rip Hunter's mission is to keep the timeline intact. We got to wonder how Barry's monkeying around with everything messed with what he did. And considering the lineup of the Legion of Doom, who includes a character who really wasn't evil up until this point, Barry's monkeying with the timeline might have had some adverse reaction to what Rip and the rest of the Legends team did. Yep. So this will be interesting to watch.
Another story with a timeline involved that we're covering here. It seems to be a theme today.
Time travel's a big thing.
Hot.
It's one of those ones that it's done a lot, but it's really hard to get bored with it because there's so many fun things you can do.
You can. It's got an unending list of possibilities. So.
And that's all. Oh, and the big 4-way crossover. It's Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Flash, and Supergirl, because now Supergirl is a CW show. And I have not been a fan of Supergirl because they haven't done Supergirl right. In the comics, Supergirl is Clark's angry Kryptonian cousin who is scarier than he is because she's not friendly. And in the TV show, she's like this bubbly, I got a job as a reporter and I have friends. And it's like, no, you punch aliens to death in the face. You're not happy. You're only happy when you're beating things up.
What's the video they've got out right now with the brawl, the 4 of them? Have you
seen the big trailer where it's like, they're all in this room locked together and the drones come out and Barry's zipping around. And I'll watch that one at least because it's a 4-way crossover. It's bound to have some interesting material. But the real big thing is Supergirl is supposed to take place in an alternate universe. Because when they did the Flash Supergirl crossover, Barry had to accidentally rip through worlds to get to hers. Yep. So I haven't, like I said, I don't follow the show, so I'm not sure how they're bringing Supergirl into the whole mix here. But CW is just slowly expanding into this conglomerate of just shows everywhere.
Good for them.
I know, it's awesome. We're getting characters like Stargirl and Heatwave and Captain Cold that you just never would see on, or if you did see them, they'd be like a one-shot villain of the week on like Smallville or something, So I enjoy it, but
between Arrow and Flash, you've got a billion villains to choose from.
Oh yeah, just between the two of them.
Yeah.
Although I don't like that they're not, because now the DC movie universe is going on, So villains like Captain Boomerang and Deathstroke, which were big part, well, not Captain Boomerang, he was in a couple episodes, but Deathstroke was the big part of seasons 1 and 2 of Arrow. And because of the Joe Manganiello casting and the announcement that he's going to be in the Batman movie, they've basically been told, the Arrow TV show has been basically told, don't use Deathstroke because we are saving him for the movies.
Yeah, they don't want to ruin it.
And it's kind of annoying because I thought Manu Bennett as Deathstroke was the best part of season 2.
What do you think? Do you think Joe's going to do a good job?
Oh, I think he will. It's funny because he's one of those actors where he didn't jump into my head as Deathstroke, and then once they announced the casting, I'm like, oh yeah, he could totally do that. If just looking at him, Deathstroke is supposed to be a slightly older guy, in his early 50s. And even though Manganiello's, I think, only in his late 30s, he's got those dusting of gray on the side of his hair naturally that makes him look a little older, but like he could still kick the crap out of you because he's in incredible shape.
I think he could do that in real life.
Yeah,
anyway.
He's just a giant dude.
I got his book, and it's an excellent book, the workout book, by the way. Just as a side note. Yeah, I was kind of wondering when he would get into one of these movies, and
he's already in Spider-Man.
Yeah. And I'd like to see. I remember when he was talking about this Spider-Man thing in the book and everything.
Yeah.
But when you get more of a bigger part, and what'd be kind of cool if they put his spouse in there too. Sofia
Vergara.
She'd be a blast because she's got a great sense of humor, and she'd probably make a great superhero or something.
Well,
on the side.
Deathstroke in the comics is married.
Yeah, and she'd almost be like Pepper. Out of Iron Man.
Well, no, because in the comics, his Deathstroke's wife is scarier than he is. She's the one who trained him.
I just like her. She's funny. She's got a good.
Oh yeah.
She acts well, and she's I think right now the highest paid TV actress of all.
Oh, that's right, Modern Family. Yep.
Huge, just like ridiculous amount.
And the other big Deathstroke news is they have there's this picture floating around that someone noticed of Zack Snyder working on Justice League storyboard art. And if you look, and someone noticed when they zoomed in on one of the panels, Deathstroke is in one of the artistry panels.
Awesome.
So I don't really see how he fits into Justice League, considering who they announced the main villain was going to be Steppenwolf.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
But it's a nice way of getting him in there, I think, at least. So when he shows up in the new Batman movie, people aren't like, who?
Yep.
Because I think unless you've watched Arrow, which Arrow has a pretty big audience, but not everybody watches it. So it's a kind of a nice way to introduce Deathstroke before he actually has his own solo movie against Batman.
What else have you got over there? Anything else?
What else have I got? Oh, the other big, now we have Marvel movie news. Doctor Strange, they've confirmed, is going to be in Avengers Infinity War, which is going to be very interesting because Infinity War is going to be the big Thanos fight, which they've been building to since the very early beginnings of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think it's very cool that we're going to see Doctor Strange in there because, Thanos is going to be the biggest threat they've ever faced, and they're going to need to bring out everybody to beat him. So they've announced, I think the Guardians are going to be in it, and I think Paul Rudd's going to be in there as Ant-Man for Infinity War. So I think they're going to throw everybody at Thanos in the same thing. But as cool as it sounds, I really hope it doesn't turn into just a bunch of cameos all at once. Doctor Strange is here for 5 minutes, and there's Ant-Man for 10 minutes, and it's like, just a revolving door of people showing up.
Got it.
But I think it'll be pretty cool, and I think it's definitely a nice way to kind of expand out the Marvel Cinematic Universe once they're done with Thanos.
Should be another one to look forward to there. You're loaded with stuff. I see a ton of notes on your.
Oh, that was all I got so far, but.
I'm trying to think what's coming up movie-wise. You had something.
November is going to be Doctor Strange.
Oh, I want to put a quick note on that. Doctor Strange. We mentioned that here too. Today's morning news. The next Rogue One trailer will be out with the Doctor Strange movie, so you get a bonus.
Which is kind of odd because it's out the next month.
Yeah, I don't really. It's an interesting thing you say there because what's the point? I mean, you're going to get them anyway. It's not like someone's going to well, I didn't see a trailer, so I'm not going to...
Wait a minute, there's a new Star Wars movie next month? What?
Who didn't tell me?
The hermit that lives up in the mountains and only comes down once a year.
Oh, Lord. But, yeah, I guess they're going to put a little bit more out, so...
I'm not a fan of like 8 different trailers that give away a whole bunch of footage before the movie comes out.
There's a lot of footage.
There's a lot of stuff. I've only watched the first trailer because I don't want to see everything that's coming out.
Unfortunately, I have to see all of them, and so I know a lot. And I'm like, oh god, it's one of the one of the tough parts about this job is that you don't get any more surprises. Everything's like you get surprised 10 months early, and then by the time the movie hits, you pretty much know what's going to happen. So but the trailer will be hidden. And remember we went to one of the Star Wars trailers. We had to go special to I think it was Monsters Inc. Remember years ago?
Oh yeah,
it was for the it was Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones. Everyone was in there waiting for the Attack of the Clones trailer.
I remember I had avoided seeing the Force Awakens trailer for months. Yep. It was like I was in the home stretch. There was like 2 months to go or something like that. And I went to see the newest James Bond movie, Spectre. And I'm like, James Bond, why would a Star Wars trailer be attached to that, right? James Bond, and I saw the Lucasfilm go across the screen, and I actually screamed in the theater, no! Oh because I'd avoided it for so long, and I saw it, but luckily they did a good job in Force Awakens of not giving away like all the big stuff in the trailer.
Too funny. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun, the Rogue Warrior, and of course, anything Star Wars is going to be good. I've already seen some strange things online, like they're trying to talk it down. I'm like, what do you mean talk it down? It's Star Wars. It should be hot. I don't know what they're afraid of all of a sudden. This is the third thing that's worried about.
Oh, I can't. Even if it's not critically well received, which I think it will. I think it's going to be good. It's still going to make an insane amount of money. It's Star Wars.
It's Star Wars.
Even like the people love to crap on the prequel trilogy, but the prequel trilogy up until I think The Force Awakens. Revenge of the Sith was the highest box office that a Star Wars movie ever had.
Wow, then The Force Awakens, like you said, it was one of those things. They dropped 1 million trailers where they dropped a lot of stuff, and I actually managed at that point not to see anything. So it was really cool to go in and not see trailers. I don't know what you folks think. If you want, put in the comments below the video. I'm curious to see what you all think. Do you think there should be more trailers for this stuff, or do you think they should have more of an element of surprise? Because it seems I'm with Tom on this. I think right now I'm leaning towards his attitude with it. It just seems like they're giving everything away before the movie, and a movie costs enough money as it is.
Yeah.
Not to sound cheap, but my God, you're paying 10, 12. I mean, some of you big cities, I think you're dropping 15 or more for these movies.
I used to love watching movie trailers, and I don't know when exactly it happened, but at some point along the way, they felt the need to condense the movie into a 2.5-minute clip. And I can't remember the name of the movie. It was some movie I was watching on the iTunes. I got bored at work waiting for the bus, so I was just watching movie trailers to see if there's anything coming out that I was looking forward to. And I can't remember the name of the movie, but I remember watching the trailer and thinking, oh, this looks actually kind of interesting. I'll watch this. Yep. And then the last half of the trailer was like the last half of the movie and what the big twist is, and I'm like, well, then why do I need to see the movie if I've already gotten a pretty good idea of what's going to happen?
Well, it's all right. I mean, we'll see how it goes, and I hope they're not talking it down because they're afraid it won't make $2 billion instead of $1. Let's just have fun with it and go see it, and stop this worried about, not you. I mean, I'm talking about the studios. Stop this worried about every little tiny thing. I mean, the action figures are already all over the place on Twitter.
Just came out today.
People are going crazy.
That's why they're calling it Rogue Friday.
Rogue Friday. Yeah, that's hot. Did anybody get action figures?
Definitely not going to Target after this to see if they have any.
Somebody was standing in line, but they didn't have a midnight thing. They were kind of bummed. Midnight thing for the action figures, what they should have done. I think now that they mention it, I don't know why they didn't do a midnight, wait all night for action figures.
Yeah, they probably will for episode 8 at least.
Kind of cool, yeah. And we still got plenty of movies to go.
Yeah. And I was actually a little bummed they didn't do a Luke Skywalker figure from Force Awakens.
They still can, though.
No, they will for episode 8.
Will.
I'm sure. But I mean, really? I mean, he was only in that last scene. But that
scene though is epic.
It's great.
That's the scene.
Yeah, and they didn't do a Luke Skywalker figure from Force Awakens, and I was like flabbergasted.
Another one.
They did a freaking
absolutely.
Remember that scene on the ship where the guys coming to collect the money from Solo show up?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have figures of those guys. but not Luke Skywalker.
Not Luke Skywalker. Yeah. And the amount of what is it memes you see all over Twitter with her handing him the lightsaber. That's just
there was a hand.
Iconic.
Did you bring the hand?
Bring the hand. The hand. Where's the hand?
Or the other one, she goes, Luke, teach me. I was just gonna go to Tashi Station and get some power converters.
There's so many memes with that scene, and that scene is iconic. I'm with you.
Where's
the figure?
Scene. Right?
I'll bet you could sell a large figure, like a sculpted figure.
Oh, I'm thinking like the Black Series 1999, where they're like 6 inches tall.
Right.
I would get that figure.
$60 for that thing in comic book shops.
Oh my God, you'd be surprised what some of those figures go for.
Oh yeah.
I remember I wanted the 6-inch Black Series Boba Fett figure, and everywhere I looked, the cheapest I found it was like $50, $60, and I'm like, I'm not paying $50 for a 6-inch action figure. I just can't do it. I'm a nerd, but I have limits. And then I was in Target, and I don't know why I kept doing this to myself, because they never had any of the good stuff. But if you catch them on the right restock day, it's like a gold mine. I walked down the aisle, and I looked, and like, boring, and right up in the upright corner, Boba Fett. And I snagged him, and if there had been a little kid going for that figure, I would have kicked him out of the way. I would have booted him and sent him flying down the aisle.
And you ran screaming for the checkout counter.
Oh, I did.
Oh, I've got the figure.
I got Boba Fett. I paid what he's, the box price.
It's interesting you say that, because Target is pushing really hard on a whole series of commercials right now. They're Star Wars figures. They're showing them. There's really in-depth Star Wars graphics and figures and stuff, so they really want to be known as the Star Wars store. And great for you, Target. Keep bringing the stuff out. Get your buyers out there and buy some really odd
Disney
stuff.
Store,
we'll buy it.
Oh, the Disney Store has the best.
Goodbye credit card.
And it's only $5 more, but the figures are so much more detailed, and the lightsabers are so much better.
Oh.
And I get it, because it's the Disney Store. You're right at the source.
It's Star Wars toy porn.
Yeah, it really is.
So it's great. Well, not to hog up too much of the podcast of Star Wars. There we go again. Another really good movie that's going to be coming out soon is just for fun. It's a fun movie. I covered it a bunch of times on Sci Clops, and they're just a nice bunch of people working around this movie. It looks like fun. It's Rogue Warrior, Rogue Warrior, starring Tracy Birdsall, and she just won an award. She got Female Action Performer of the Year at the AOF Festival. It's all over the news.
What's she done before?
She's done a bunch of different flicks. I'm trying to get a list of them here, and I was just going to cover Rogue Warrior for now. Really quick, the Rogue Warrior it's just a futuristic thing. It's humans versus robots again, or humans versus androids. Lots of fun.
Robots are always evil too.
Robots hate us all. Just like we were saying at the beginning, that can you have some nice aliens? Well, nobody has nice robots either. They all can't stand us. They all try to blow us up, and it's kind of a bummer. So it looks like a lot of fun. If you go to the Rogue Warrior, if you go to YouTube, or you look at, go to Sci Clops. Go to Sci Clops, upper right hand corner. Type in Rogue Warrior, and we've had the trailers and stuff like that, and a bunch of different things on Rogue Warrior. I'm just trying to find some more info. That was one of the movies I wanted to cover because it looks like fun. I like a fun. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't have to have super multi-billion-dollar special effects. It just looks like a good time. Shoot them up.
Even the half the time major studio movies, the CGI doesn't even look that good.
You remember this thing's kind of making me think a little bit of Cyborg.
Oh,
which
very
was
good movie.
A low-budget film
which was probably shot in like a single section of like LA.
The same
somewhere.
factory that the Sci-Fi Channel films every
Always
one of their
shooting,
movies
yeah.
in, and yet it was amazing.
Oh, it was great. It was
so well written. They did was it a factory, a field?
In the desert for like a bit.
In the desert for a bit, and I don't think they ever left probably a 20
because then they had the flashback sequences, which were just set at an earlier period in those same places.
And it's funny because you see that and you're thinking, man, this is just a well-written movie. So it doesn't take a lot to get a really well-written.
Did you ever see the sequel with Angelina Jolie?
No.
It was like one of her first things she ever did. I haven't watched it either, but it's so weird that there was a Cyborg 2 and she was in it.
I didn't even know about that. No, thank you. I had no idea.
She played the Cyborg in Cyborg 2.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
I got to look that up and see.
Right? I know. You tell people that and you're like, hey, you remember Cyborg with Van Damme? I'm like, yeah.
Right.
Did you ever watch the sequel with Jolie? And they're like, And their jaws like drop. They're like, what?
Who's the hottest news out right now?
Oh, yeah, that ridiculous circus.
Let's not go near that Brangelina disaster. Sorry about my chair, folks. It's creaking away here. I got an old rusty chair. If you go to the Sci Clops website and shop through the Amazon link there,
we can buy a new chair.
You can help support us, and we'll afford a new chair.
We'll get one of those gaming chairs that has like the
I'll just get a
headphone jack and like it rocks back and forth.
I'm sitting on cement blocks right now in newspapers. So that's the best we've been able to do. Really quick, you had asked a question about Tracy Birdsall, and I just didn't want to leave that hanging out there. What's she done? She's got a bunch of movies here. Who's Jenna? Doomsday.
Doomsday, I've seen that.
I just lost my freaking thing. Starship Apocalypse. It looks like she does some fun stuff.
Starship Apocalypse.
Funny ones.
Who would want to serve on that ship?
I would. Starship Apocalypse.
Hey, we just got your new posting. Oh, yeah, where am I? You're in Apocalypse?
Ooh, my mom's calling. Gotta go. Sorry, can't make it this time.
I'm space sick.
That's good. So she's got a whole bunch of fun movies out there, and but this looks like a fun Rogue Warrior. So we'll move on from Rogue Warrior. Take a look at the YouTube clips we've got on the site and whatnot, and shop through the Amazon link because we need a new chair here, so I don't have to sit on the piles of newspapers and cement blocks and broken pieces of wood. But
which are coming out of the chair for some
reason.
Coming
out of the chair every time I fall over here.
It's like the Iron Throne.
They got a better chair than I do, more comfortable. So what else have we got? Really quick, I'm just going to cover a book here, Hyperion, Dan Simmons sci-fi book. I just got done reading it. It took me forever, on and off with it for a while, and I'm doing one of the projects we're doing here at the Sci Clops site is 52 books in 52 weeks. Yes, I'm behind. I admit it. I'm a few weeks behind, but I'll get caught up, I promise.
Well, if you finish one in like 2 days. Then
yeah, I got a bunch that are coming up, and I'm going to just blast right through. Not cheating. I'm just reading books, but I'm just, I just got behind. I was busy watching some shows for you folks out there and didn't get as much reading done. But this Hyperion's pretty darn good. It's a huge book, and I'm going to say right off the top, that if you read Hyperion, again, Dan Simmons, Simmons, is the author. It's been out since about '89. You'll see it, right in the front of all the, sci-fi booksellers. This book is up there. Any of the major bookstores. Pardon me. It's first of 2 or 3 or 4 books actually. There's supposed to be 4. This one it ends very similarly like the Fellowship of the Ring. It's going to drop right off.
Oh, okay.
So just be aware of that. I don't want to leave you surprised. But it's a good ending. It's so big of a story, you really do need 2 or 3 books.
Okay, so it's a series?
Yeah, it's not written. It doesn't look like it's been written to suck down 3 books. It looks like it's been written because the guy really had a big story to tell, so that's kind of cool. And Hyperion, just really quick, it consists of 6 subtales inside. It's a bunch of, in short, it's a bunch of people flying to a planet. I don't want to go into heavy detail on this, except that it's a good book. And each one of them tells the background story of why they have to get to the planet Hyperion and deal with this. There's an interstellar war about to break out, and there's wheels within wheels within wheels all over this book. And it's really well written in the sense that each of the 6 stories kind of goes in a slightly different direction. You've got it kind of goes several different movies, almost like he was watching previous films from the 70s and 80s and pulling stuff out of each one. Like the part 5, The Detective's Tale, is right out of Blade Runner, and I love that's my favorite part. And each other part seems to be from a
Blade Runner was awesome.
Blade Runner is incredible. And especially the remake. Wow, you can't watch Blade Runner on a big enough screen. I'd like to see them make this into a movie, but I don't know how they're going to do it. It's so huge. So that's all. Reading Hyperion.
I have a book series. I'm still finishing the Expanse series, and the Expanse is actually the first name of the book, or the first book anyway. Basically, the easiest way to describe it is if Tom Clancy wrote a sci-fi book, and it's set in the future. We've colonized Mars. We're terraforming that.
Elon Musk did this or no?
Yeah, right? I'm surprised they haven't mentioned him in the book somewhere. We've terraformed Mars, and we're colonizing the asteroid belt to mine its minerals and things like that. And eventually, Mars and Earth got into a scuffle, and Mars broke off, and it's its own government, and the asteroid belt is its own government.
Cool.
Because it'd just be too insanely difficult to police, the asteroid belt or Mars from Earth.
Well, you saw what happened in Star Wars.
Yeah. So there's basically these 3 government bodies, and they all kind of don't like each other, but because they have to work together. You know, the asteroid belt needs supplies from Earth and Mars to live. They need the minerals that the asteroid belt's pulling in. It just goes back. And then someone, I won't say who, it becomes very clear that somebody's trying to manipulate all the governments against each other for their own agenda.
Right.
And it's really nice in that it's sci-fi, but it's not like kid sci-fi where they're like the hyperdrive works on whatever principle, and they never explain it. They actually do go a little bit into the science of how things work, like Clancy did. Clancy would explain something, but he wouldn't get so into the minutia of how it worked that you'd be like just flipping pages, like, okay, we get it. That's how the turbine moves. We don't need 5 pages explaining how it works. They give you like a brief little history of whatever, and then they move on, and it's really cool. I think there's 6 books out right now, maybe, and there's a whole bunch of different rotating in characters. Like there'll be a character that's on Earth, and a character, so you get everybody's perspective of what's going on from everything, and it really is a giant mystery of trying to figure out who's manipulating everything for their, whatever plot they have going on. And it's a very good book, and they adapted it for TV, at least the first book, on Sci-Fi. And I have the first season. I haven't watched it yet, but I want to see how faithful they were to the source material.
Who wrote it again?
Oh,
do you know?
Man, it was co-written, the first one, and the author's name is escaping me.
We'll look it up while we're talking and see if we can find it. Hopefully, we'll get to that. I didn't mean to throw that at you. I do that occasionally too. I'll read a book and just completely forget who wrote it, and I get so into the book, and so I always try to get that down. But each book is still going along, okay?
Oh yeah, it's a great series. I have them up to the 4th book right now, and it's the author is James Corey.
James Corey.
Corey.
Corey. And I like the part where you say it's kind of Clancy-esque, because I love Clancy. Clancy was one of those authors. I used to get his books, and I'd come home like, well, no sleep for me.
Yeah.
And you'd be like reading from like whenever you got back from the store until 4:30 in the morning, and you just going as hard as you can because you just kept turning pages. And he would go into some detail on like a machine gun for like 2 pages, but you loved it. This was awesome.
Oh yeah, it's fine to explain something as long as you don't get to the point where it becomes a detriment to the story, and you're just like bored out of your mind getting facts thrown in your face.
He always put some cool history in there, why the building was located here.
And the other thing Clancy did incredibly well, which James Corey does very well here too, is that it's just believable enough, or it's just outlandish enough that you don't think of it happening every day, but it's still within the realm of possibility.
Cool.
And it's very creepy like that.
Cool.
A lot of Clancy's material was like, you're reading this and going like, ugh, it's unlikely to happen, but it could happen.
Ooh, you used to get the hair up on the back of your neck reading Clancy, because it was so close. You'd be like, the stuff they were pulling off was like, gee, anybody could do this. And Clancy said when he started writing these things, he got visited by some very high level security agencies, because they were like, where are you getting all this stuff? And he's like, well, I'm just pulling it out of your stuff. You guys published it yourself back in the day before the internet. Yeah. And he was going to the library and just pulling all the the publications out, and these were the things these guys investigate every day, and he just made stories on it. So it's kind of you can see where it is that close to reality, and so you're like, oh God. And I remember reading Clancy, and you'd go to bed and you'd be like, why don't I feel good right now? Because these guys are killing people way too easy. So this is exciting. They're making a sci-fi series out of it. We'll see how it goes.
It got renewed, so we'll have to see how they go with it.
This is really cool too. Again, we mentioned this last week, and it's the fact that sci-fi is off and running in their direction. Amazon's off and running in their direction, or I say
Netflix and all
Netflix.
Well, Amazon's doing some great stuff too.
Yeah. By
the way, Jean-Claude Van Johnson got picked up to series. It's the best news I've had all week. Awesome. Oh, I can't watch the face kicking.
Jean-Claude Van Johnson. How many times does he do a split in these things?
He only does it once in the pilot, and they build to it though in the best way possible. Do yourself a favor and watch it.
I will. I'm pretty psyched. I love Jean-Claude. I've gone to a lot of his movies, even those awful things he made, which were fun because he was in it.
it's those, you know what you're getting going in.
Who cares?
You're getting a lot of bad acting and some awesome spinning face kicks and some ridiculous action. And it's great.
And some bad music in the background too, but just fantastic stuff. You come out, you're like, that was fun. You know, it's fun to go to like a B-rated flick almost. It's just a lot of fun. So you go to those and you just have a great time. I'm catching up on Clone Wars. If you haven't watched all the Clone Wars seasons, I'm on season 3 right now, almost done. Love it. Ahsoka Tano is just getting better and better, and I'm really enjoying it. I know I'm way behind. Everybody's doing Star Wars Rebels right now, but you know.
Well, just think, by the time you finish Clone Wars, like the first 2 seasons of Rebels will be on Netflix, so you can just jump right in.
And of course, Thrawn is the hot thing right now. Still, Thrawn's all over. You know, there's a movement on, to make Admiral Thrawn, bring him out even more. And I think before this is over, you're going to see Thrawn with his own mini movie or cartoon movie or whatever. Because boy, the people.
Well, they would do that every now and again, like in Clone Wars, they do a whole episode, or at least primarily from the villain's perspective. Yeah. So that's always kind of fun.
Well, that's what I'm on right now. Asajj Ventress. She's right now. I don't want to give it away, but she's run into a problem.
Give it away.
People who haven't watched it. Well, okay, I can give it away because you know what's going to happen. She's trying to be a Sith Lord, and she's going to get betrayed, and so she basically got kicked to the curb, and she's furious and survived. Pardon me, she survived, and she's looking for Count Dooku's head. And so this whole episode is Asajj Ventress and what she does to try to get back at Dooku. Actually, I think there's more than one. And it's really cool. Yeah. Great backstory. Lots of fun.
Before the Clone Wars was a TV show, it was a comic series, and she was pretty prevalent in that series too. And they did a similar thing where she gets betrayed and then kind of disappears and then comes back. And then I always liked the idea. Like, she had a really cool look, and the lightsabers were cool, but they just felt like, in the comics anyway, I've only watched the first and last season of the Clone Wars, she was basically a giant plot device. Like, any time that they needed a shadowy attack on somebody, it would just be her, and she'd be like there. And they never really invested all that much into her until the betrayal arc.
Yeah.
And then she became pretty interesting.
Right.
I
agree.
But 100%. I do think she's a nice character because there weren't a lot of female Jedi focused on up until, or at least female Force powerful characters. You had her.
Well,
really,
who's the
until the prequel movies anyway, and even then,
right before her, I'm having a mind blank. Who's the assassin?
Who?
The assassin with the ponytail.
Oh, but she was a one-shot up until the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, she's all over the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
and she just had almost her own.
Yeah,
total,
what I'm saying is, like, in the ratio of like male to female Jedi characters, it's insane. You had Asajj Ventress, you had Shaak Ti.
Didn't do much with Shaak Ti either.
No. Then you had Depa Bilba, I think was her name. She was the guardian of the Crystal Planet. And her apprentice, and then Mace Windu had a female apprentice in the comics who wound up turning evil, and he killed her, so she wasn't around that long.
Which, going on that note, which is why, again, I like Twitter, because you really get a sense of what's going on with those tiny tweets, but there's so much, it's such an in-depth look into what people are thinking. They're really into Mara Jade. They're really into Ahsoka Tano. Oh,
yeah, Mara Jade was awesome.
Really into her, really into Ahsoka Tano, and really into, there's one more female character that just escaped me. But on the net, the fans really are clamoring for another. Rey.
Yeah,
Rey, and that's one of the reasons this is so hot.
Force Awakens, I think, did a great thing in that Leia was a big part of the original trilogy, but she didn't do much until Return of the Jedi, combat-wise. Right. And I think getting Rey right out there in that first episode, holding her own against Kylo Ren in that last fight, was a smart decision.
I think Leia's thing for the movies was she was more of a
she was the strategist.
She was strategic. Yeah, that's what I was going to. She was the one kind of holding down the fort in the background and making all the big plans.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving in this direction. We're moving in that direction. I'm tempering you from doing something stupid over here.
You never got the sense that Leia wasn't important.
No, she was wicked powerful,
but
you didn't want to screw with her.
Yeah, you didn't really have too much in the way of on-screen female butt kicking until the expanded universe stuff, or like Mara Jade, who was like just destroying people.
Yeah, Mara Jade. That's what I just.
A lot of this has been about Star Wars.
Star Wars is hot. It's the thing right now. It's you got Rogue One, you got Clone Wars, you got Rebels, you've got the new movie Episode 8, you've got all kinds.
Well, you knew
stuff
once Disney bought them, it was just going to be a machine.
It's well done. So thank God. They're not screwing it up. Oh boy, because you've seen a couple things come out and studios have grabbed it and just sunk it, which we talked about last episode. They blew a few movies. Last thing I've got really is for me is music. I've got a band out of, good heavens, I did it again. I can't remember where they're out of. They're called Insomnium, Insomnium. You remember me talking about Wolfheart in a previous podcast or two, and Insomnium is touring with them. And I've been listening to the One for Sorrow album. Really good stuff. Great to work out to, I'll tell you that. You work out to Wolfheart or Insomnium. It's heavy. It's metal. And it's really heavy stuff. A lot of fun. And I've actually gone back and listened to Fear Factory again. Fear Factory Demanufacture album, which is really awesome.
Is still the best thing ever, though.
You can pump more and more weight to that. If you're gonna work out, you got to work out the heavy stuff. And you go to the gym or you work out in our little workout thing here, and you just pop into Black Sabbath and Insomnium and Wolfheart and all this really cool
ears
stuff.
bleeding.
Yeah.
I actually have some music too.
Awesome.
And it's kind of related to sci-fi and horror because I follow Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl on The Walking Dead, on Instagram.
Uh-oh, we got a fan.
Yeah. And I was just scrolling through Instagram last night before I went to bed, and he posted an album cover on his just on his feed.
Yep.
And I checked it out. The band has the best name ever. It's the Giraffe Tongue Orchestra.
Giraffe Tongue.
I know, that alone made me want to check it out. And the song is Blood Moon from the album Broken Lines.
Blood Moon. Again.
And it's a great song. Not lifting workout like heavy stuff, but it's got a nice rhythm to it. A little kind of like Southern Rocky a little bit. And but the Giraffe Tongue Orchestra, just that name alone has to have checked out.
Awesome. Awesome. And I love we'll feature it on the site because they're really not sci-fi fans or horror. But Norman Reedus likes it, so it's got to be good.
Yeah, Walking Dead.
And I'll tell you, if he ever came out and started talking about Giraffe Tongue Orchestra, they go to number one. You should see his fans are rabid.
He's the best thing on Walking Dead.
He's a lot of fun, but his
He's Daryl Dixon.
The women are crazy for him. Oh my gosh! They're like, you go to their sites and it's just 1 million Norman Reedus pages.
Well, he actually used to be a model for Armani.
No.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
He got a gig. He thought it was a joke. One of his friends was a photographer or something like that. And go back I
didn't know this.
Google it. Pre-Boondock Saints, pre-everything. He was maybe not Armani.
It's a wonder we didn't run into when we were models for Armani.
Yeah, I recently just got done with
I don't think he was at our level, That's a great story. I did not know he was a model for Armani.
Maybe not Armani, but one of the really high end.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Armani though.
Too funny.
Yeah.
Too funny. And the women are crazy for him. Just wow, everything that guy does, he's just.
Oh man, if they ever kill him off on that show, they are gonna have a riot.
They'd have a riot. Well, they said that if Norman goes, we burn the whole country.
What do you think in that writers' room they realized they were totally screwed? They're like, all right, we're gonna kill Daryl, and then just sob Daryl's popularity going up and up and up and up because he was supposed to die at one point, and then they just looked at it and they're like, he's the best, the biggest thing we've got going. We can't kill him off.
There are no bad characters on there. I don't think.
Andrea in season 3.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, that was then.
Which fans of the comic, especially like myself, hated because Andrea in the comics is the polar opposite of what they did with her in season 3. She is this take charge. Not taking crap, not stupid. And in season 3, they just made her the biggest idiot ever. Oh, he keeps 100 zombie heads in fish tanks. That's normal.
Well, she never saw that.
No, she did.
She did?
She walked in on that.
I don't remember that.
She, because he would always lock the door. And so one day when he left, she was like, okay, I gotta know what's behind the door. She opens the door and sees the multitude of zombie heads. And she's like, okay.
Oh my gosh,
he's a little crazy, but he's still holding this town together.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's 3 instances when someone's about to kill him and she stops him and you're like,
okay, I'm backing off. She's a dingbat.
And then, yeah.
But she played a good dingbat.
I remember when she actually got killed, I actually went, yay.
Yeah, a lot of people did. I think there was the fans wanted her dead, and it's nothing. She did a good job. That's really testimony to her acting. Which she did such a good job.
I felt so bad for her as an actress because it's just watching everyone turn on you.
Yeah, but
it's got to be awful.
It's that's what I mean though. the fans turn on you in a sense, but that's what you're given. And if you play that part well enough, the fans should turn on you. And the fans should always think, hey, the I can't think of her name who played Andrea, but whoever played Andrea did such a good job at playing a hated person that she should get another part somewhere. Maybe not in The Walking Dead, but because obviously she's dead, but some other movie. I mean, that should tell some other movie company that, hey, she can do a good job at pissing people off.
And The Walking Dead season 7 starts up pretty soon.
Awesome. How about Fear the Walking Dead? What are we doing with that?
I've not caught that yet. See any of season 2 yet.
Okay, we'll get into that.
I'll catch up on that.
Yeah, we'll get there later.
I just finished. I know I'm so far behind. I just finished Walking Dead season 6.
That's got to be the way every geek and nerd starts their conversation out these days. I'm so far behind. There's so much stuff.
There's so much stuff.
I'm always behind. I mean, look at this. We're doing books and websites, and we try to cover everything for you guys. At least something from everything, but there's so much. And it's wonderful. What a great time to be alive.
Oh, no. I have too much stuff.
Oh, yeah. It's what is it called? First world problems.
First world problems.
I love that. I bought new Ferrari, no ashtray. All upset. But it's the same thing here, Thank God you live in a day where there's so much to do. You can't do it all. You got books and you got movies and you got shows and I haven't even covered half the stuff I got on the list here, but we'll get to it. And it's we try to keep these moderately short. Before we go? Is there anything else you want to cover?
I think it's a lot of.
We got a lot coming. I know there's a lot of stuff about to hit, so we're gonna have plenty of fodder for the next about 10 podcasts. But if you like our podcast, and we hope you do, we'll keep trying to improve. Please do support the best way you can support us is please subscribe to the Sci Clops channel on YouTube. Hit us with some likes. Please share the podcast. Share it all over the place. Visit the website, scyclops.com. If you do any shopping at Amazon, please shop through that little Amazon link. We get a couple pennies off it, but it does help us, and it lets Amazon know we're there, and then they don't bother us for they don't bother you. As long as a few pennies are coming into their way. We also are on Twitter, of course, Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram. And I've been looking at Reddit, and I try to do a couple things there, but Reddit is kind of cantankerous. They didn't want you on there unless you were a week old, and then you got to go through this logic tree every time you post something. If then, not for, but, and don't post anything on the following 10 movies, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Eventually I'll get to Reddit, or not. I don't know, I'm getting a little annoyed. But we are on a whole bunch of social media, and please support us. Take a look at it all, and we'll, of course, we will try to improve because we love doing this. We have a lot of fun with it. Hopefully as much fun, and we have as much fun, hopefully, as you do. And I think that's about it for the week.
I think we got it.
Cover. That's it. Next week we'll be hitting the Fast and Furious because we got a lot of
Flash and Arrow will be back on, so I'll definitely have that.
Looking forward to Arrow. I got to get caught up on that
am.
too. We'll see. I beat it up a little bit last podcast, but it's fun. It's a little cheesy at times, but I'll take it. I got to finish that up. Another thing on my list. Well, that's it. That's the end. Podcast 3. Thank you so much for following Sci Clops, and you really make it a joy to do this every day. We see the numbers going up. We really appreciate it. We're growing on Twitter. We're growing on Facebook. We're growing on Instagram. We're growing on the podcast. So we're really excited about that. And please keep visiting and tell your friends.
Keep up the geek.
Keep up the geek. Have a great week.